Hey everybody, nice to talk to you again. We're here at the very end of week 14. In fact, it's Saturday. So at this point, you guys are working on that project. I've been getting lots of great emails from you. It sounds like you guys are making lots of progress. And some of you are done. Some of you are almost ready to upload, so I'll be putting up the assignment link soon. And some of you guys are still working on a worksheet, which is great. There's still time to do this, but we're entering the final week. So, first thing I want to make an announcement about is the actual deadline for this assignment. Now, I'm going to push it back as far as possible. So, I'm going to extend the deadline until Friday at midnight. Now, I have to give you guys a warning about this. Friday at midnight is really the latest possible deadline that I can make it, because I have to submit my final grades on Monday. So that means that I need time to mark the assignments, to do the grade math, get everything uploaded and all of that over that weekend. So, you know, I have tried to be really flexible. I always try to be really flexible with deadlines and things like that. I'm usually happy to give extensions. In this case, we are right at the end. We are right at the final possible deadline. So please don't be late. Try to get it uploaded Friday by midnight. Now, one more announcement. I got an email from Mary Jo. Thank you, Mary Jo. And she mentioned that part 2 of the video was not accessible, that there was a problem with the link. So that's the last video I did. And so I've tried to fix that. I've deleted that link, I created a new link to the video, and I've uploaded that. Thank you, Mary Jo. And so please take a look at that part 2 video now. That was all one big video that I cut in half. So it starts a little bit abruptly because it follows right from part 1. But part 2 should be helpful for the worksheet because it goes over the pathos part of the worksheet and the logos part of the worksheet. And it's about 13 minutes long, so it's fairly detailed. So please take a look at that video as well. So that video should help you finish up the worksheet. This video that I'm working on right now, this is our last video, the last video I'm going to do for the class. And this one's going to be focused on actually writing the counterargument. Now, the good news is that the hardest part of the counterargument is really done already. By the time you've finished the worksheet, you've done the critical reading, the critical thinking, the analysis that you need to do for the counterargument. Now we can just focus on writing the counterargument and making it as strong as possible. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about some strategies for how to write it, and also I'm going to go over again the excuse me, I've been a little bit sick. I'm going to go over the structure that we talked about in class. Remember that each of the counterarguments, you're writing 2, one for each of your articles. Each of them is only 1 paragraph, so it doesn't have to be extremely long. The counterargument, each one will maybe be 150 words, 200 words. I'd say 200 words is absolute max. So the first tip I'm going to give you guys, the first suggestion I'm going to give you guys is to not try to fit too much into it. You've done your analysis, and from what I've seen so far, you guys have done great work on the worksheet. And you've tried to think about things like ethos, pathos, logos. You don't have room to fit everything in. So don't worry about trying to fit everything in. What we want to do instead is we want to think about the analysis that we have. We want to think about the topic, the article that we've read, and you're asking yourself, what is the best way that I can disprove this article, or I can discredit this article, or I can make other readers not want to believe this article that I've read. And so when you're picking what you're going to put into the counter argument, you're trying to think about what is my best ammunition, right? What is my best tool, my best weapon for disproving this? You may have, say, let's say you came up with 6 critiques. You've got a couple ethos, maybe 1 pathos, and then 3 or 4 logos. Well, you're definitely not going to have room for all of those, for all 6 critiques in your counter argument. What we want to do is we want to be able to focus on the most effective ones, the ones that really are going to take your part. And in particular, what I would suggest you guys do is start with logos, because that's really the most damning thing for that original article. If you can point out a way in which their logic doesn't make sense or their evidence doesn't hold up, then you've really got them. You've really found the flaw. So logos is the best place to start, and we want to try to make that the heart of our counter argument, the most important part. If you have one really strong logos critique, that's great. You can focus on that and make that the central critique that you're going to use in your counter argument. If you've got 2, that also can work. You can give a little bit of attention to each of them and make those together, those 2 logos critiques, your central critique, the heart of your counter argument. I wouldn't try to do more than 2 logos critiques, because it takes a little bit of space to really be able to explain what that critique is, to explain to your reader why the author's argument, whether evidence, whether logic, whatever it is, why that didn't make sense. If you try to just do it in 1 sentence, it's not going to make sense for your reader. And in that case, this is me. And so we want to be able to fully explain it. So pick 1 or 2 logos critiques, and you want to pick the strongest critiques, the ones that are going to really dismantle that argument. Once you have the logos figured out, it's a good idea to have a secondary critique. The secondary critique is just it's a way to flesh it out, right? And we give a little bit more attention, a little bit less attention to that. So you guys have done ethos, pathos, and logos. We've already talked about logos. What I would say for the secondary critique, the kind of littler critique, the little buddy, is that you could do ethos or you can do pathos, but you don't need to do both. You can try to do both. The problem there is, again, we really don't want the counter argument to become so overloaded with so many different things to talk about, so many different focuses, that it becomes distracting and disorganized, and your reader's not able to follow what you're saying anymore. So if you've got, say, 1 really good ethos critique, like maybe you found a structural bias that you think is really going to put that author and put their motivation in question. It's going to make your reader think, hey, I think I know why this person really wanted to write this article or is making this argument. If you've got 1 ethos critique like that, then just use the 1, because it's more effective if you're really focusing on 1 solid critique at that point than if you're giving your reader just a long laundry list. Again, let's say you've got a pathos critique. Let's say you didn't find that much for ethos, maybe the publication, the the author, like you weren't able to find that much about them, or it doesn't really seem like they have an obvious structural bias. But when you were doing the pathos, you noticed that they're using very emotional, very manipulative language. They're, fear baiting, or they're, misrepresenting things in an emotional way. Well, if that's the strongest one, then I would just make that the secondary critique. So again, just to remind you guys, we want to focus the counter argument largely on logos. So start off by trying to think, what are my strongest logos critiques? 1 or 2 logos critiques is probably all you want, because again, we don't want to overload it in a way where we're not going to have time to fully explain things. Once you've got the logos critique, look at ethos and pathos together from your worksheet and try to ask yourself, okay, from this first section, from ethos and from pathos, again, what are my strongest 1 or 2 critiques, right? Maybe you'll have 1 ethos and 1 pathos. Maybe you'll just have 1 ethos. Maybe you'll just have 1 pathos. Maybe you'll have 2 of each if they're a bit longer, right? They're a bit shorter. But what I would say is that in terms of the critiques that you're bringing in total, the total amount after you've got your logos and you've got the ethos and or pathos, the total amount really shouldn't be more than 3. So maybe you'll end up with 2 logos and 1 ethos. Maybe you'll end up with 1 logos and 2 ethos, or 1 logos and 1 pathos, 2 pathos. But try to add it up to 3, maybe 4. But you're trying to just think about how much room you actually have, and because we want to make sure that we're able to fully explain our critiques, that we're fully able to show our reader what we're actually trying to talk about. And if we overload it, there's no way we're going to be able to do that. This video is longer than I thought it was going to be. I was trying to keep it short. So I am not going to talk about the actual counter argument structure right now. I'll make a separate video for that. But I'll upload this, and maybe tomorrow I'll do another one for actually writing the counter argument. Thank you guys so much. I hope all of you are doing well. I've been a little bit sick, but we're almost there. You're almost done the semester. Just keep focusing, and pretty soon we'll be done. See you guys. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.